Breaking right now, a car connected to the disappearance of 23-year-old Kada Scott has been located in Philadelphia's East Falls neighborhood.
Chopper 6 is live over the Gypsy Lane condos in East Falls, where the 1999 gold Toyota Camry was found this afternoon. It was just this morning that police said they were searching for that car as part of the investigation.
Well, that car was found just hours after police said they found personal items belonging to Scott at an abandoned school building in East Mount Airy. Let's go live now to Philadelphia police, who are giving an update on the car that was found.
Any reason that the information on the car was held back until today? You were tracking it around the city, and the information comes in today, and we have a car a couple hours later.
Again, it was the public's help. Okay, we suspected that car was attached to Mr. King. We had to gather the evidence enough to actually go look for the vehicle.
How long were police tracking this car?
I'm not going to get into that.
Any further conversations with Mr. King?
I'm not going to discuss that.
I'm sorry, you may have said this, but what is the connection to him?
I'm not going to discuss that right now.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Not a lot of additional details there given by police. Of course, we're keeping an eye on the car that was found. It's Wednesday night. The big story on Action News is the breaking update in the search for Kada Scott. The 23-year-old has not been seen since October 4th.
And authorities did mention they have not found her body. The investigation obviously fluid and continuing. Action News continuing to follow this breaking news story. Let's go to Action News reporter John Paul, who's live at the scene in East Mount Airy with the very latest. John.
Yeah, Rick, I'm over here in the Germantown area. This is the abandoned school where police were called to just a few hours ago, and they found some evidence. I want to bring you up to speed what we're seeing right now. There is still a van parked in the back, and what they're doing is we've seen crews actually boarding up windows. There are a lot of broken windows and holes here. We're not sure if the evidence was found inside the abandoned school or not. There's only one officer left here at the scene because about 30 or 40 minutes ago, they left the scene here to go over to East Falls, where that car was discovered.
We have a lot of digital evidence, video and other, which provides us with this individual.
An arrest tonight in the disappearance of 23-year-old Kada Scott, who hasn't been seen since October 4th. 21-year-old Keon King is now charged with kidnapping. Police say he was the last person to see Scott, and they were likely together in this 1999 gold Toyota Camry. The vehicle was just located a short time ago on the 4000 block of Gypsy Lane in East Falls.
We're not done our investigation. We need to find Miss Scott, figure out where she is, or what may have happened to her.
Just over an hour after the news conference, a tip led police here to an abandoned middle school near Aubrey Arboretum in Germantown. It's close to an area police had canvassed last Friday.
Shortly after arriving out here, we were able to locate some physical evidence which ties Miss Scott to this scene. And obviously this is very substantial.
Sources tell Action News that evidence included clothing items and a debit card with Scott's name on it. Police used canines, drones, and crime scene technicians to search the grounds and could be seen circling evidence outside. Family members of Kada Scott heard about the search, and they came out to the scene. They talked with investigators, but were too distraught to talk with us about the case. Neighbors who are following this hope that Scott is found soon.
This is somebody's family. This is someone's loved one. And everyone is affected by the circumstances. That someone so evil could go and kidnap her. And we just want to find her alive.
And police are treating this as if she is still alive, as we are live over East Falls right now. And this is that Camry that police were looking for. It only took a few hours after the news conference this morning to locate this. We know the canines have been out there. Police are guarding that vehicle right now. And sources also confirm that King's family lives in that area where that vehicle was found. Back out here live, we also know that King was arrested and charged with kidnapping and I believe assault on a female acquaintance. However, Shari, that case was later dropped when investigators say the victim didn't show up for court. We're live tonight in Germantown.
Yeah, they know something happened to her. Yeah, they know something happened to her because they out there searching like that, you know. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. They know something happened to her. Let me see. Hold up. Let me see. Hold up.
Good evening, Jackie.
Yeah. They know something happened to her.
Good evening, Jackie. Police say this video is very important now. What the district attorney's office is trying to prove is that there is a pattern of violence in King's behavior. A viral video circulating on social media is giving us a new look at the man accused of kidnapping 23-year-old Kada Scott, who has now been missing for nearly 2 weeks. The Philadelphia District Attorney's Office confirms the cell phone video shows 21-year-old Keon King outside the home of a woman he's accused of kidnapping and assaulting earlier this year.
What we're seeing and what we continue to see is a clear pattern, of violence, of this type of behavior.
Investigators say the woman who recorded the video is heard warning someone inside the home to call police while pleading with King to leave. King, dressed in a black hooded jacket, is seen hopping the backyard fence, then peering into the home through a window. Officials say he attempted to get inside multiple times. According to investigators, this video was recorded about an hour before that woman was kidnapped.
Ultimately, when the complaining witness and eyewitness on that case stepped out of the property later that day is when the kidnapping occurred, and he grabbed the victim, put her in the car, and drove away and assaulted her.
Prosecutors also say children were present during the incident.
There were definitely children in the house when that happened, and the information we have is also that his 2-year-old was in the car when the kidnapping occurred.
The original kidnapping charge was withdrawn in May when the victim didn't appear in court, but following the investigation into Kada Scott's disappearance, those charges have now been refiled. Scott disappeared on October 4th. On Tuesday, King turned himself in. The next day, police canvassed an abandoned school in Germantown, recovering evidence now linked to Scott. Just hours later, King's car was found abandoned at an apartment complex in East Falls. That car is now considered a critical piece of evidence in the investigation into her disappearance. Officials say their focus is still the same focus they've had since October 4th, and that is to bring Kada Scott home. So any information of her whereabouts is important. For anyone who has that information, they're asking people to simply call 911. In Center City, Shaira Arias, NBC 10 News.
Yeah. Dude was a weirdo. Yeah, dude is a weirdo. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Dude was a weirdo.
Breaking right now, a car connected to the disappearance of 23-year-old Kada Scott has been located in Philadelphia's East Falls neighborhood.
Fox 29 News has learned that Fox 29 News has learned that 21-year-old Keon King has an active protection from abuse order against him recently from a third young female in effect until 2027. That's in addition to the multiple kidnapping and related charges he's being held on $2.5 million bail on now in the disappearance of Kada Scott and the prior kidnapping case from earlier this year that was dismissed initially by the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. It was refiled this week after King's arrest in the Kada Scott case.
Karen, call the cops.
Philadelphia police sources tell me this video, posted on social media and shared widely following King's arrest this week, is part of the evidence in the first kidnapping case, dismissed by the DA's office, showing him walk up to the victim's window.
Keanu here.
Law enforcement sources tell me King was also a suspect in a prior rape case involving yet another woman, adding more to their belief that King has a pattern of very bad behavior with women. Sources tell me investigators found Kada's glasses, her iPad case, and her cell phone case, along with her bank card, in the search of this no longer used Philadelphia public school building yesterday. That's 2.5 miles, mostly down Stanton Avenue, from where she worked and was last seen. While King hasn't been as cooperative as detectives would like, sources tell me the young man that she was on a date with the night she was last seen did cooperate. She went on a date here to Topgolf Saturday night, arriving home at 9:45 p.m., just 5 minutes before her mother saw her leave for work. That young man told police how easily approachable Kada is, based on how he met her by just rolling down his car window and was able to easily strike up a conversation with her.
This is day 12 of Kada not being with us. And as you know, each day the desperation grows.
Kada's father on Good Day Philadelphia for the second straight morning, hoping to keep the public on alert for her, brought his two brothers with him, hoping to reach the person who may know King and may know what happened after police say she got into King's car.
There's one person out there that is a good friend of his that, you know, has a heart. And you know, understands the severity of this and speaks up.
Dad Kevin Scott wearing his daughter's name on his hooded sweatshirt over his heart, hoping someone watching with a good heart will hear him.
Let my daughter go. Bring my daughter back home. She has loved ones, family, friends that all care about her. She has a bright head on the shoulders, a great future. You know, people make mistakes. If she's alive and breathing, you know, just get her back home, you know?
We want her home. At the Criminal Justice Center, Steve Keeley, Fox 29 News.
Wow. 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 This guy has a history of this type of behavior. Whew. Yeah. He got restraining orders. He's stalking through the windows. He's known for this. And to hear that, now listen to this. She went on a date before she went to work that night. And this guy must have knew that she was out with another man. And he did something to her. Because they saying they found her glasses, her credit card. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, he did something to her. And they found him in the back of an abandoned school. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy, though. Yeah, dude knew she went out with somebody else. Yeah, man. Damn. Young girl, too. Only 23 years old. Yeah, she was a young girl. 23 years old, man. You know, this funny looking dude, man. Yeah, you gotta... Man, some women like them funny looking guys, man. You gotta watch out. You know, them guys don't be getting no women. They don't be getting no damn women. Damn. That's crazy. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, man. God damn. Yeah, he got with her. She was a little pretty little thing. Yeah. He seemed like he was real possessive. He was in stalking women's windows and most stuff. Yeah, that's deep. And hit that like button and hit that subscribe button, man. Wow. Wow. Yeah, hit that subscribe button, because yeah, that dude was tripping. Yeah. They said they found key evidence. Yeah. Yeah. That was deep right there. Yeah. That was deep right there. I ain't even gonna lie. That was deep. Us just hearing that right there, that was deep.
A 23-year-old mysteriously vanishes after getting off of work.
Any young people today, they can't live without having that phone in their hand. So
yeah, that was deep right there. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button.
A 23-year-old mysteriously vanishes after getting off of work.
Any young people today, they can't live without having a phone in their hand. So that's a concern. You left her car behind. It's certainly something that's not usual of somebody who's missing voluntarily.
A week into her disappearance, a 21-year-old is arrested, accused of kidnapping her. We'll explain what this latest development means as police say she still hasn't been found.
The number one priority is locating Miss Scott. Just want to make that very clear.
This is Inside the Crime, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Elizabeth Milner. This is a Law and Crime legal alert. There are allegations claiming that the online apps like DraftKings and FanDuel are engineered for addiction. Harm and gambling lawsuits sent the working her shift at an
Not have, as we've said multiple times at this point, we do not know where Miss Scott is. So at this point, our lead charge is kidnapping.
So how did this case begin? On Saturday, October 4th, Kada Scott had just finished working her shift at an assisted living facility, but she never made it home that night. Her parents feared the worst, especially because they hadn't heard from her, so they reported her missing the very next day. The search for Kada was on because wherever she was, her friends, family, and even police believe she didn't go willingly.
We've been investigating that since that time, really trying to do everything we can to figure out where she might have went. Like her car was found at the location. No one has received a call from her. We know her phone is not in operation anymore. So a lot of what we're doing is following the evidence that we have, witnesses that gave us information. Some of that evidence has led us to this area. We've looked in other areas too. This particular area, the Aubrey Arboretum, all right, it's a very large area. It's all wooded area mostly. There's a lot of fences and activity going on in there. So it wasn't very easy to search with just a few detectives. So we enlisted the help of our academy classes. They're here. They were given specific instructions by our crime scene investigation people, and we're just looking in the area. To this point, nothing has been found that's related to the investigation. We found some clothing items, which we have no idea if they're related to this or not, but they were taken just to look into. But at this point, we're just doing everything we can. We try to do that on missing person investigations. We do everything we can to make sure we run down every lead. This particular case led us to this area. It's a very large area, and we had to do what we had to do. It's not the first time we've done this. I've been in the department over 35 years. I've worked in the Detective Bureau a long time. We've done this in missing persons in the past where we enlisted the help of the Academy.
Frank, how concerned are you about, she's been gone almost a week now, no cell phone, no bank, no any trace, right?
Yeah, 23-year-old who, you know, is a social media person, as we hear. She disappeared off social media, so it's concerning. You know, any young people today, they can't live without having a phone in their hand. So that's a concern. You left her car behind. It's certainly something that's not usual of somebody who's missing voluntarily.
According to police, they interviewed Kada's coworkers. Her coworkers didn't notice anything strange. Her coworkers didn't notice any strange behavior from her prior to her disappearance. But would Kada's family unlock new clues for police to investigate? According to her family, the 23-year-old was receiving harassing messages. It's unclear who that person was that sent those messages. But during that October 8th press conference, officials said they were still investigating the case as a missing persons case.
I'll stick to it's a troubling missing person report. It's certainly troubling, so we don't know if foul play was involved, but we certainly see some signs that this person wasn't voluntarily missing. So because of that, we're doing everything we can to figure out who she contacted and where she is now.
Days and more days went by, no sign of Kada. And all true crime watchers know how missing persons cases are. Time is so critical. Then a major development. There was an arrest.
All right. Good morning. Just want to give you an update on the disappearance of Kada Scott, which occurred on October 4th, 11 days ago. I'm going to provide you an update in terms of an individual that is currently in custody for his involvement in the disappearance of Miss Scott. However, still a lot of work needs to be done. And so just want to make that very clear as to why we are here and the information that you will receive. Essentially letting you know how we have gotten here, but more so the public's help that we need right now. The public has been very, very helpful thus far in providing a lot of information, which the investigators have been able to track down a lot of the leads, which has helped us get to this point here. But as I said, a lot of work still to be done. The number one priority is locating Ms. Scott. I just want to make that very clear. And so while we are at this stage of this now, that's our priority.
So who's the individual authorities have in their custody? 21-year-old Keon King, who police say surrendered on Tuesday. But a quick look into his record showed a very dark pattern.
Want folks to understand this person has a little bit of a pattern of this type of history. And so we want to encourage anyone that may have been involved with this individual, anyone that may know this individual, please, at this point in time, make that phone call. Feel comfortable enough to call us and let us know if you have any information regarding this person, regarding any interaction you've had with this individual. If you have been a victim of any crime regarding this individual, I want you to understand now is the time to make that phone call and let us know. Give us that information so that we can continue on.
Our evidence that we followed, and we did involve a lot of investigators on this, led us to several places, that digital evidence. And as everybody knows, we searched a very large area up in the Arboretum, and we came up really with negative results. After that time, we asked the Homicide Division, the FBI Violent Crime Task Force to enter into the investigation to assist. All right, and we continued our search trying to track Ms. Scott's whereabouts along with anybody she may have encountered during that time. Our evidence is pretty clear that she was in communication with an individual. That individual appears to meet her very shortly after she leaves her place of work. And very shortly after that, she disappears off of the footprint. We have a lot of digital evidence, video and other, which provides us with this individual by the name of Keon, K-E-O-N, King, K-I-N-G. We believe this individual, and through our evidence, we were able to charge this individual. The district attorney was able to charge the individual. You'll hear from them shortly with kidnapping at this point. It's very important to know we're not done our investigation. We need to find Ms. Scott, figure out where she is, or what may have happened to her to cause her to completely disappear from all her items, her phone, her Instagram, social media sites, and everywhere else, work. She left her car at that location. So it's very important that this individual, who does have prior history of being arrested, especially for this very same thing, this year was charged with kidnapping another female acquaintance. That case was dismissed from court, and I'll explain it. It's going to be refiled now as we're going to move forward to attempt. So he's being really charged with 2 cases today of kidnapping. And in that case, it involves assaults that occurred during the kidnapping. So this is a pattern of behavior. That vehicle that you've seen, the Toyota Camry, was his vehicle. All right, that vehicle's not recovered. All right, some of the stuff he did as we attempted to find him was he got rid of things like the car, the phone. We're not able to find things that he was using. He had an address in Southwest Philadelphia. He had other addresses that it looks like he's not using anymore. So he attempted to elude us for some time. He did come in last night. He's here being processed, but there's a lot of questions we still have. So we're asking the public's help. We need it more than ever. This car, you'll see a better picture of it when we send it to you digitally. It's a gold colored Camry, 1999. It has heavy front end damage on the left front bumper. All right, that's being described that way several times. We know it's been in the Mount Airy area. We have photos of it in Center City. We have pictures of it in Grace Ferry area and in Southwest Philadelphia. So it's possible that it could be anywhere. It could be outside the city. So if somebody sees this, thinks they know where this car is, it's very possible it doesn't have this tag on it anymore. So if you see a car like it, we're urging you to call police, have it investigated. Any information on this, you can call our tip line, 215-686-TIPS, 8477. or the homicide division directly and give that information.
According to a report by NBC 10 Philadelphia, officers got a tip about evidence found outside of a local middle school. Photos later revealed the very car investigators were looking for was parked at the Ada H. Lewis Middle School. But they searched the school's property. Still no sign of Kada. But according to the report, the school is located near the Aubury Arboretum, where police searched for Kada last Friday. Officials believe Keon was the last person in contact with Kada. But again, he's not facing any murder charges, just kidnapping until investigators find out more.
What I can confirm is that our office, as of the early morning hours into the early morning hours this morning, did charge this individual with charges, the lead charge being kidnapping. You know, as we've said multiple times at this point, we do not know where Ms. Scott is. So at this point, our lead charge is kidnapping. What we're able to confirm and what I was able to charge based on is what we know, which has already been said, which is that this person, Mr. King, is the last person we believe to be in contact with her, and that he was in contact with her when she went offline, meaning her phone, everything. So at this point, the investigation has led us here, and we're able to charge him with kidnapping, recklessly endangering another person, use of a communication facility, meaning his phone. We were able to track his phone and communications on his phone. He's being processed as we speak. When I picked up this investigation, one of the things that our office also learned was that he did have a previous case. It was a 2025 case for very similar conduct, strangulation and kidnapping. That case had been withdrawn by our office based on the witness failing to appear at court.
According to reports, during that incident, Keon allegedly kidnapped a woman he knew in front of her home, threw her in a car, assaulted her, and just let her go. So did the same thing happen to Kada, and he allegedly stashed her somewhere? As of this recording, Kada still hasn't been found, as we're nearing 2 weeks into her disappearance. But her family is holding on to hope for a safe return. Loved ones wrote on GoFundMe, "We've established a verified reward fund for credible information that leads directly to Kada's safe recovery. Every dollar raised strengthens our ability to bring her home and encourages anyone with information to come forward. If Kada is found before the funds are distributed, or if law enforcement determines the reward is no longer necessary, any remaining balance will be donated to a verified missing persons organization or used to assist other families of missing persons." So where is Kada? That's the question on everyone's mind. I'm joined now by retired FBI agent Colin Schmidt. Colin, thank you so much for joining me. You know, we have a 23-year-old girl who's missing. Her cell phone is off. There's no sign of her, but a person is in custody for her kidnapping. What's your reaction?
Well, it appears from the media reports that there was some sort of relationship between the two of them prior to her disappearance. So the first thing that comes to mind is this may be an act of domestic violence, and that something went awry and now she's missing. And unfortunately, statistically speaking, in cases like this, many times the victim ends up being, has passed away. I have hope that she's not, that she's, just laying low and hiding from him or whatever, will come forward very quickly. But right now, just based upon the social media and the media reports, it doesn't look good for her.
Yeah, and it's just terrible to think about, especially given that before her disappearance, she had talked to family and friends just about somebody sending her harassing messages to her phone, all of that stuff. So I'm kind of wondering, was this a possible situation where maybe she rejected him romantically? He didn't like taking no for an answer, and then maybe he did something to her. What are your thoughts on the whole domestic aspect of this?
Well, I think you're spot on. I think there was some sort of catalyst that created this event. And most likely it was something that she did or did not do that set him off, so to speak. And we don't know what happened. I mean, right now we just have him in custody and she is missing, although they did say they did find incriminating evidence in, I think, where he was living. So we don't know what that evidence is yet. But based upon, the pattern of these events that we've seen over and over and over again, it appears that it was likely a volatile relationship and then it just went bad.
And I'm thinking to myself, a 21-year-old accused of kidnapping, I'm thinking, where would he stash her? Where do you think somebody like this, who has a pattern of this kind of dark behavior, would go and stash a 23-year-old if she is still alive?
Well, it comes down to just basic human psychology. He's going to go where he's familiar, and whether it be an apartment that he's aware of, or friends, or a storage facility, or a vehicle, or a park, or something that he's very familiar with, that's the most likely place that she would be. Or if she if her life was taken from her, it would be along some sort of road that he travels quite a bit, or some area that he's very familiar with.
And police say that they are still treating this as a missing person investigation. We're about 2 weeks into her disappearance. But where does the search go from here? Is it back to square one?
Well, like we've talked about over and over again, it always comes back to the phones. They're going to get the location data off of both phones. I mean, I believe they did find her phone and it was not functioning. So they're going to look at that call history. They're going to look at the GPS pings. They're going to look at all that and look at areas that they both have in common, that they both are aware of. And that would be the first places to look, is basically reconcile the two phones together and see what the GPS data is saying.
And do you think there's some surveillance video footage out there somewhere of maybe her last known steps and things like that? Because I'm thinking it's 2025. There has to be some type of surveillance footage out there somewhere that can lead police to some different direction.
Well, I think once they establish the timeline of her locations, then that'll be the next step, is canvassing those neighborhoods for the Ring cameras, for the cameras that are on the side of houses. And then also basically vehicle information to see where his car has been. So yeah, there's high probability there is surveillance video out there, because you hit the nail on it. We're in a surveillance state right now. So there's almost always surveillance video.
And I want to go back to a point that you had just mentioned about time. How important is time here, consider that this is still a missing persons case?
Well, time is everything in all crime, in all criminal investigations, but more in violent crime, especially missing person. The longer they wait, the longer, the more likely evidence is going to disappear. People's memories are going to fade. And frankly, if in fact that she is deceased, then the evidence that's on the body is also going to kind of evaporate, so to speak.
And as much as I don't want this investigation or this case to turn this route, but when do investigators start to make that determination that this is going from a missing persons case to a homicide investigation?
Well, I think they have to have some sort of probable cause to be able to call it a homicide, whether it be a text message or some sort of data point that shows that a violent act occurred before they do move to that point. So right now we are fairly early in the investigation, so it's just a matter of time, and law enforcement is doing everything in their power to track down all the leads, because they do hold out hope, and there is always the assumption that she is alive and they want to recover her before something worse happens to her.
And I think what's also very scary about this case too is that Keon King, the suspect who has been charged with her kidnapping, has also had kind of similar dark behavior like this before, even going as far back as just this year, where he was accused of kidnapping another woman. But in that incident, he let her go, and he wasn't in jail for that case because the charges were dropped after the victim didn't appear in court. But what's your thoughts on the possible escalation that might have been happening that we know of?
Well, likely in a case like that, that's a documented case of a kidnapping. There's probably undocumented cases where people didn't come forward. Now that this is in the media and he's behind bars, I would be surprised if people didn't start coming forward to talk about incidents and experience they had with him where he was violent or acted, frankly, creepy or weird.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of just looking for a 23-year-old in this vast area where there's a lot of land, a lot of buildings, how difficult is it to search for her when, we have so little to go off from what we know publicly?
Well, it just comes down to filtering information. So they have to canvass the neighborhoods, canvass her family, find out what her places are, that she's familiar with, and then, of course, find places that he's familiar with, and then start there, and then basically apply some logic to the search, because they have to be able to filter where they put resources, because you hit the nail on the head that the area is so vast, they would be looking for a needle in a haystack unless they're able to filter that haystack down to a handful of hay, so to speak.
And in terms of interrogating him, do you think that he is going to tell investigators where Kada is, whether or not she is still alive, which is what we're hoping for, or if something terrible and tragic did happen to her too, if he's going to tell authorities where she is?
Well, the success of an interrogation comes down to a couple of factors. Number one, the age and sophistication of the person being interviewed, and his experience with law enforcement. So in fact, if he's been interviewed multiple times by law enforcement, he's going to be a harder person to talk to. And then also the skill of the interviewer. And I'm sure the police are very skilled at this. So it's more likely than not, he is going to give up incriminating information unless he was instructed by his legal counsel not to cooperate.
And we do know that the FBI is assisting the Philadelphia Police Department in this investigation. In terms of where they're going to help, where do you think that that's going to lie at?
Well, the FBI, along with the U.S. Marshal Service, they lead the world in cell phone tracking technology and being able to read the pings and the data off the cell sites. So that'll be the first place where they'll probably deploy the CAS team to filter through the literally millions of lines of data that come off those cell towers. And then they may also bring in the behavioralist from the so-called profiler unit to get an idea of what he's about, and also understand what his patterns are, his lifestyle patterns, which would also help them narrow down the search.
Hopefully that investigators and the FBI can hopefully find Kada safe and sound and hopefully bring her back to her family. That's what we're hoping for here. Colin Schmidt, I want to thank you so much for your time and your insight into this case. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Again,
Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Yeah, that's sad though. Weird dude, and no sign of her. 2 weeks. And I hope they find her. It's a bad look though. Yeah. But they definitely not telling us everything. We know that. They're not telling us everything. They don't want to mess the investigation up. I'm sure they hoping that, somebody probably in his family would give him a lead. But damn, dirty dude, man. He turned himself in. So I'm sure his family members had encouraged him to turn himself in because they was hitting their cribs, serving search warrants all in their cribs.